Melissa Anderson, who's a licensing agent with the adult use program. I've got Nellie Marvel, our outreach and education manager, and Ray Carre, also a licensing agent with the adult use program. All here to answer some questions tonight and give some information about license renewal. So thank you to all of you for being here and giving your time tonight. So just briefly, my opening remarks at the Q&A sessions are always the same. We set aside an hour in the evening. Staff take their time to be here to answer questions for people who are trying to navigate the process, the regulatory process for their business license, whether you're looking to get a license, in the process of getting a license, or have a license and are trying to be compliant with the rules. We are here to assist in that process. So this is not the time to engage in commentary, although we always are happy to hear comments from the public. We've got a portal for that on our website, quite easy to find. Please submit your comments there. So the first thing we're going to do tonight is Melissa is going to walk us through the license renewal process in a slide deck, give some information there, and then she's going to go through the process of actually showing us what the renewal will look like in the portal, and then we will open it up to questions. So that's the way it looks tonight, and thank you so much for being here. We've gotten great engagement at these FAQ sessions, so looking forward to another great night. Thank you so much, and I'll turn it over to you, Melissa.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. I'm Melissa, licensing agent with the Cannabis Control Board. So let me get plugged in here and we'll get started on the PowerPoint. Let's see. There we go. I'm seeing it, so I'm hoping everyone else is seeing it. So today is February 28th, 2023, and we'll get started. So, license renewal process. I can't believe it's that time already. So, this is the process with the statuses and sort of, what to expect with each of them. Applicants will receive email notifications of renewal and will be prompted to begin the renewal process through their established license portal account. Update the information, complete required or missing information, and that includes the new energy efficiency questions for all mixed and indoor license types. So you'll fill those out, you'll submit it, it will be submitted. Staff will change the status to received on the first business day after submission. Staff will conduct their initial review to determine the priority status and also review the application. The applicant will be sent to CSI for their background check, and applicants can expect an invite within approximately 3 calendar days of the submission. And then that status will be in review when those things are going on. If the status is incomplete, that means the staff is sending a request for information to the applicant. The applicant can expect a request for information within approximately 30 days, calendar days, from the submission date. And the applicant will be redirected to the portal with a list of what is missing or insufficient and the instructions for how to complete that. Once the applicant has updated their application, you resubmit it for further review. Staff will review the new and updated information. You can expect a re-review within approximately 14 calendar days of resubmission. If there's still outlying information, the applicant can expect to receive an additional request for information if needed, again, within that approximate 14 calendar days. And once the initial review is complete, which includes a review of the background check, the applicant can expect a site visit from a compliance agent. So once staff have determined that no additional information is needed, then you will be pending CCB review. Will be submit the recommendation to the board for approval or denial. The board receives the list of staff recommendations in advance of the board meeting, and the board votes on the registry at the regular board meeting. If you are approved, if your application is approved pending further action from the applicant, Staff will send notification with instructions for addressing the remaining items before the license is issued. These are the contingencies that a lot of people have had. Applicants can expect that an application can be approved approximately 30 calendar days from the last resubmission. And for applicants in a municipality with a local control commission, staff will send the approved applicant information to the local control commission and then await their decision. And then the applicant will be directed to pay their local fees and license fees. And then once the applicable fees are paid and the CCB receives approval from the local control commission, if there was one, staff will notify the applicant that their license and cannabis establishment's IDs are issued and ready for download. So the process of the background check portion of the license renewals is similar to the regular background check process. CCB staff will send an email invite to all principals and controllers once the application review process begins. CSI will reach out to all principals and controllers in order to set up the payment process, and the background check process starts when the payment is processed. So costs on that, the outdoor and mixed tier ones will continue to receive a reduced rate for the second year. And the CCB is currently negotiating a reduced fee with CSI for these renewal background checks. So we will make that information available at the next board meeting and as part of our newsletter. Energy efficiency requirements. So Rule 2.5.6 for energy usage reporting and reduction efforts. This rule imposes conditions on your renewal. Every year, license holders must report energy efficiency benchmarks to the board, update and submit written operating procedures on maintenance, calibration, and proper operation for all major energy equipment. So that's horticultural lighting, HVAC, and dehumidification systems. Assess and report to the board on opportunities for energy reduction, including all of the following: energy use reduction opportunities and application, generating renewable energy on site or implementing a plan to, reducing electric demand, lighting schedules, active load management, energy storage, and engaging with energy efficiency programs. So, energy efficiency standards for dehumidification and usage reporting and reduction efforts. So all indoor and mixed cultivators will be required to complete these energy efficiency requirements for their renewal. Cannabis establishments will have 1 year from the date of their licensure to come into compliance with the energy efficiency requirements. So 1 year from your initial licensure. Licensees will be required to complete a series of new questions upon renewal. Our Efficiency Vermont will work with you to come up with a plan for achieving these efficiencies. And if you aren't already working with Efficiency Vermont, you can contact the project intake coordinator, Chris Greenwood, and his number is 1-888-921-5990 or 802-540-7633. You can also email him at cgreenwood@veic.org. So definitely reach out if you want to get started working with them and haven't already. Once you do, licensees can upload a copy of their agreement with Efficiency Vermont upon renewal if you're working with them on a plan. So an applicant will select one of the following and upload the corresponding energy standard report on the documents page. So when we go over the renewal, you'll see this part, the minimum integrated energy factors, integrated HVAC systems, chilled water systems, on-site heat recovery, solid or liquid, I'm going to mispronounce that, desiccant dehumidification systems, designs required dew point of 50 degrees Fahrenheit or less, So energy usage reporting and reduction efforts, all applicants are required to complete each of the following. Provide a report demonstrating your energy efficiency. Provide written operating procedures regarding equipment maintenance, calibration, proper orientation for all major energy equipment, including but not limited to horticultural lighting, HVAC systems, and dehumidification systems. Provide identification of potential energy use reduction opportunities, such as natural lighting and energy efficiency measures, and a plan for implementing those opportunities. Prioritization on renewals. So CCB staff will continue to prioritize social equity and economic empowerment applicants. And CCB staff will also work with current licensees first to ensure continuity of operations during the renewal process. You don't want anybody to be, in fear of lapsing. Good standing during renewal with compliance. So the CCB licensing and compliance staff will work hand in hand to ensure enforcement matters are sufficiently resolved prior to recommendations to the board for renewals. If you have received communications from the compliance staff regarding matters that need to be resolved, you should be addressing those now. And any penalties assessed against your license need to be paid in full prior to your renewal. License renewal record ownership transfers. So we are building out the ability for licensees to request an ownership transfer of their Salesforce record and also ownership sharing. So soon licensees will have the ability to request their Salesforce record be shared with agents, owners, principals, managers. So if you are partners with somebody and you signed up, originally submitted the application under your partner's portal, you can't get to it under your own. We're working on the ability to get that transferred over so that more than one person can have access. License renewals, positive impact criteria. So this is another rule that imposes conditions on your renewal. So for all renewals, all licensees must include information regarding progress on the licensee's required goals under this section of the rule. Depending on the number of people your business employs, you may need to develop positive impact goals and report on your progress towards these goals prior to your renewal. So the positive impact criteria current application questions. So these are for licensees that have indicated that they are hiring between 2 and 10 employees. These are the current questions that they are answering. Provide information regarding proposed plans to recruit, hire, and implement a development ladder for minorities, women, or individuals who have been historically disproportionately impacted by cannabis prohibition using at least one of the following options. So there is inclusive hiring and contracting plans, a plan for providing a livable wage, adopting and supporting incubator or accelerator programs that seek to assist businesses that meet the definition of a social equity applicant or are minority or woman owned, including but not limited to providing a grant or access to capital, workforce reentry training or programming, cultivation, manufacturing, or retail space, management training, or other forms of industry-specific technical training or mentorship from experts. A contribution to or contributions to the Cannabis Business Development Fund established by 7 VSA 987. Continued. Provide information regarding proposed plans to incorporate principles of environmental resiliency or sustainability, including energy efficiency, using at least one of the following options: sustainable agricultural practices, sourcing energy from renewables, exceeding minimum waste standards as provided by Rule 2.2.8, or exceeding minimum efficiency standards as provided by Rule 2.5, if applicable, and contribute to anti-pollution efforts, which could include but is not limited to the use of carbon offsets. These are the current application questions for licensees that indicate they are hiring 10 or more employees. Providing information regarding proposed plans to recruit, hire, and implement a development ladder for minorities, women, or individuals who have historically been disproportionately impacted by cannabis prohibition using at least 3 of the following options. Whoops, ignore that. Inclusive hiring and contracting plans, a plan for providing a livable wage, adopting and supporting incubator or accelerator programs that seek to assist businesses that meet the definition of social equity applicant or are minority or women-owned, including but not limited to the following: grants or access to capital, workforce reentry training or programming, cultivation, manufacturing, or retail space, and management training or other forms of industry-specific training or mentorships. Also, contribution to the Cannabis Business Development Fund. So, same criteria, but 10 or more employees uses at least 3 of those. Again, the information regarding proposed plans to incorporate principles of environmental resiliency or sustainability, including energy efficiency, using at least 3 of the following. Same as before, but 3 instead of 1. So, examples of current answers to the positive impact plans from licensed establishments, following EEO practices with preference given to veterans, marginalized, and minority groups. Plans to exceed minimum waste standards by establishing a packaging reuse program whereby customers can return their packaging for reuse in the store. Applicant intending to pay a livable wage, or applicant planning to incorporate beneficial insects for pest control purposes in the next outdoor growing season. So the CCB will be looking for these types of updates to your positive impact plans. So upon renewal, demonstrate how, and this is based on the examples given previously, demonstrate how preference was given to veterans, marginalized, and minority groups, and how successful was your plan. Demonstrate how you exceeded minimum waste standards in establishing a package reuse program. Describe the details of the program, or if you have not implemented the program, how has your plan changed? For those saying they're providing a livable wage, what is the current wage you are paying your employees? Do you plan to offer retirement contributions or health benefits? And did you incorporate beneficial insects for pest control, and what steps are you taking now? So those are the kind of updates we'll be looking for, depending on what you said for your positive impact criteria plan. So the look and feel of the renewal applications will have a similar look and feel to the initial application submission, and we're going to run through that after. Licensees are required to validate all pre-populated answers and may be required to provide new information if they used an earlier version of the CCB's application. So it's gonna pull all your data from your original initial application minus the new questions, and if there were any questions that weren't asked in your original application because it was an early version, you'll answer them now. Indoor and mixed licensees are required to answer new questions about energy efficiency, and some licensees will be required to provide updates to positive impact criteria goals. Here changes. So, renewal application window opens 90 days before expiration. So, and renewal applications must be completed no fewer than 30 days prior to your expiration. You'll receive email reminders at 120 days, which will say, it'll let you know that your renewal window opens in 30 days. You'll get one at 90 days saying it's open now, one at 60 days, one at 30 days. This is prior to your expiration. Licensees will have the option to change tiers upward or downward within the cultivator and manufacturing tiers. So those are the 2 license types that have tiers. So you will be able to do a tier change during renewal if that is what you want to do. And cultivation licensees will also have the option upon renewal to change their cultivation type. So the example that we're going to use following this, we're going to do a mixed cultivator to an indoor cultivator. That will be available also. And waivers. So tier 1 cultivators that wish to obtain a tier 1 or 2 manufacturing license are eligible for an application fee waiver for the manufacturing license application. CCB staff are currently working on a request process for executing this fee waiver. If you are interested in pursuing this waiver, then please reach out to the staff by emailing ccb.applications@vermont.gov prior to completing that manufacturing application. The end. So I am going to jump right in. This looks familiar to everybody, I am sure.
With Thursday, I gotta see. If Jahela comes with me, maybe we'll just like work over there Thursday.
There we go. So everyone knows what this is, what this looks like. So when you get into this page, you are on my applications. You can see here I have this one ready to go. It is a mixed cultivator tier 2 license. And so I have made it is within my window of renewal. So I'll go to my licenses and you will see here under actions that there is a renew button. You also have the little drop down here. If you just need to download your license or your license and ID cards, you can still do that. But we will click on renew. So first question that you're going to see if you are a cultivator is, are you changing your cultivation type? Are you going from mixed to indoor, from indoor to outdoor, from outdoor to mixed, etc.? If you say no, you're going to stay where you are. It then asks if you're changing tiers. And then if you say yes, you are changing, which for the purpose of this little demonstration we're going to do, it will ask you to select the new cultivation type. So I was a mixed cultivator. Now I'm just going to be an indoor cultivator. And I'm also going to change my tier. So I want to go from a mixed tier 2 to an indoor tier 3. So I can click apply. And of course, if you just want to stay the same cultivation type in the same tier, then you'll just click no to those questions. So this question here, please provide any additional information regarding your goals as they pertain to section 1.4.9, 1.4.9 being the positive impact criteria. This question, if you do not see it when you start your renewal, that is because it has been moved to the page with the other positive impact criteria questions, just a little reorganization. So the energy standards for dehumidification, as you saw when we went over the slide, there is all of these options. This is a required question. You have to choose one of them. This is also required. We're just gonna, for the sake of time, we're just gonna make this our answer to everything. So here's where you would provide a report demonstrating your energy efficiency, provide written operating procedures regarding equipment maintenance, calibration, and proper operation for all major energy equipment, including but not limited to horticultural lighting, HVAC systems, and dehumidification systems. All of these are required. If you're going to be submitting a report in the documents and you just put here, report submitted, then we'll look at that. Contact information. So you'll see this is all being pulled from the original application. Yours will also, and we can just, if there's no changes, you can just click on next, pre-populated. If you are adding principals, then here's where you would do that. Let's say I was, I'm the sole owner of this establishment, but I'm going to add another principal. So I would click here, I would add them just as you did in the initial. I have myself set at 100% ownership. So maybe I would change that here if necessary, or removing somebody if you need to remove. We keep going. You can see these were all pulled over from my original application. Employee management, I said no to intending to hire other employees, but let's say now I've decided I'm bigger and I'm going to. Here's where you've got your position of your positions and your staff levels, overview of general roles and responsibilities. This is all same stuff that is on the initial application. Again, insurance, escrow, personal tax compliance, all things everybody is familiar with. Licensee information. And here is where we're getting to those plans related to positive impact criteria. You're seeing all of those questions we went over before, where you can put in your answers, and there are going to be places for the uploads in the document section. Documents, this is the only thing that's not going to be pulled over from your prior application, because a lot of these things need to be updated, like your insurance, personal tax compliance, timelines are going to be different, all of that kind of stuff. Make sure you are uploading things that pertain to this new renewal and not old documents from your original application that might be outdated. Try to avoid that incomplete if we can. I'm just going to go through this here. My fake attachment. Obviously, you'll be loading lots of real attachments. And I wish I could just breeze past this page, but that would be too easy. However, the only other thing you're going to see after this is your attestations that are the same as the previous year, and then your confirmation, because there is no application fee for a renewal. So that part would have come after the attestation and prior to the confirmation, but that is not required for a renewal. So that part is not there. You do the attestation and you submit, and then it pops up on our end. So I feel like you all know what that looks like. It's probably not worth me going through and uploading the same attachment a bunch of times. So I think that's probably a good place for me to unplug, and then get going into the questions part of things. I think we had some questions submitted prior that we were going to address before we open it up. So Ray, if you want to take that.
Hi. My name is Ray Correa. I'm also a licensing agent on our CCB licensing team. And we did receive a handful of questions before this event, and we just wanted to start with those questions. The first question is, we are considering changing our LLC from a partnership to a sole proprietorship, and this may require a new employer ID number and possibly a name change. What are the ramifications of this change with respect to my cannabis license renewal, and will going forward with the above require another application with all the associated paperwork and fees? So this is not as hard and daunting for us as it might seem, to go through a new EIN and a name change and changing the corporate structure type. This would not require renewal. all you would need to do is let us know through the ccb.applications@vermont.gov email address, and we'll send you back a notification that your Salesforce account will need an amendment. And once we get all the proper information for that amendment, we can change those necessary business structure items in your Salesforce. There are no fees associated with doing an amendment. It's pretty painless by comparison to trying to change things with Secretary of State. Question number 2. Our outdoor cultivation license will be up for renewal soon, and we are seeking an additional manufacturer tier 2 license for further process on our current crop. Nothing has changed with us since the first Creative Solutions Incorporated check. Is there a less costly and quicker way for repeated background checks on the same people, especially if completed within a year? And the short answer for something like that is we are working on a discount for renewal CSI checks. My colleague Melissa mentioned that earlier today. That is something that we are working very, very hard on. If your background check has occurred less than 6 months ago, then you would not need to complete a new background check for a new application for a new license type. In the case of this question, you wouldn't need a new CSI background check for a manufacturing tier 2 application. So if you're already holding a license type for, say, cultivation or wholesaling, and you're trying to go to a different license type, if you had the CSI check within 6 months, you don't need another one. And prospectively, we're looking to get a discount for those licensees who already have a CSI background check for their license. And in question number 3, I was wondering how outdoor cultivators can adjust their tier status during the renewal process for the upcoming season. For example, a cultivator may want to go up a tier or down a tier depending on predicted weather conditions, inventory needs, or market demand. The answer is cultivators and manufacturers can change their tiers during the regular renewal period, as well as part of an early renewal process. License and local fees will apply, depending on the tier that you're moving to. You may also be required to submit for new application information. So if all you have been doing is cultivating and you're looking to go up from tier 1 to tier 3 or 4, we'll probably need more. We'll need more information from you in terms of security, in terms of just the whole spectrum of what the differences are between tier 1 and tier 4. It's pretty comprehensive. And those are our pre-sent questions. I see hands up. Who wants to drive on questions?
Hi there, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
So thanks again for having these events. And so I guess I'm just hoping to know, when can I hear about my current waiver claim? Bryn, you and I exchanged email, we talked over email, and then Ray, I spoke with you on Friday. I followed up the last couple of days, but I haven't heard back. When can I expect to hear something there?
rule waiver requests that come through the portal are currently in the work. So, Tito, you should be hearing something by the end of the week.
Okay, all right, because that was over a month ago. But thank you, I appreciate it.
Hi. I think I've seen some of these new staff members. So welcome for your service to the community. I really appreciate it. I was just wondering if you guys have given any thought in locations. I assume it'll need a whole new location because of all the things associated with the property. But will it be prioritized in any way? And also with the licensing window closing, I just mentioned it yesterday to the board, so I don't necessarily expect that you guys have discussed it but since it was a Q&A opportunity, if there was any clarification on being able to change properties or if it was that the window for being closed April 28th. So just getting
you were cutting out a little bit, but I think with what I was able to get, change in location is something that would be done during renewal, as that would, you would need all of the things related to the location that maps and all of that stuff. So that is something that would be done during renewal. If it was something that you were trying to do not during your regular renewal cycle, that would be something that would trigger a renewal. It would be an early renewal if you weren't doing it in your regular renewal cycle. And also, I think you were asking about the window closing, and that is for new initial applications, not renewals. So hopefully I got everything you you were saying and answered that.
and a little better now.
It might be me on my end.
I'll type in the checks. Thank you so much.
So an early renewal would be something you would request in advance of your regularly scheduled renewal date. So your license is issued and it's good for 1 year. And once whatever that expiration date is, your application will be open for renewal 90 days prior to that. So that is what's considered your regular renewal window. If it's something that you need to do prior to those 90 days before expiration, then that would be an early renewal, and that would be something you would contact us to request. Right. So you got your outdoor cultivation license in October. So your renewal window would be open in July. Yes, renewal window would be open in July. But as far as I am aware, that that window for new licensees isn't going to affect people who are already licensed and doing their renewal. So if I misunderstand that, somebody correct me. But I think that that is the case.
No, Melissa, that's right. This is Bryn. I was just typing in the chat an answer to that question, which is, I think that we're getting a little bit of confusion from our questioners about closing the window for outdoor cultivation. And that only applies to people who are new applicants. So if you are a current licensee, you don't need to worry about the closing of the outdoor application window. You can renew on your regular cycle.
Hi, everyone. Excuse me. All right, I'm gonna try and articulate, but I hope I do well with this. I've unfortunately joined a little late, so I missed the first 15 minutes, and I apologize. But I ask this because I'm wondering if this will also be broadcast on YouTube, so I can just go back and listen to it. Now, that's one question. Another is, as a manufacturer, Tier 2. I'm seriously considering the possibility of getting a mixed tier license when I renew. Is that something I need to be concerned with, being that I would be switching from one type of license structure to another? And I have to say, I ask this because I've noticed as a manufacturer of not edibles or vape cartridges, but straight up flower pre-rolls, the market for me is starting to look like kind of not what I thought it would, because cultivators seem to have the ability to do everything, really. I mean, mine is selling to the public. So I'm starting to really wonder if I'd be better served going the route of a cultivator and then just doing my own pre-rolls that way. So I apologize. I've got all these questions, but I have one last one, and that has to do with being a sole proprietor, single owner, single employee businesswoman. Why do I have to hold money in the cessation of operations escrow? Please look at that, because that is $2,500 right now that, as a single one-man show, I could really use right now. And I could apply it to perhaps that cultivation license. So sorry for the long drawn out stuff, but appreciate you doing this. I really do. Love you guys.
Hi, Marie. I do believe that it will be on YouTube, as the rest of our Q&A sessions are. So Nellie will tell me if I'm wrong about that. And as far as, so since you're a manufacturer, you wouldn't do a renewal to become a mixed cultivator. They're two totally separate license types. So you would apply as if you hadn't applied before as a mixed cultivator. And if you chose not to continue, not to renew your manufacturing license, then you can do that. It would expire, and you don't renew, and you don't have an active manufacturing license anymore. You can definitely do that. And I know that the escrow is something that's being looked at, so fret not.
I appreciate that so much. Thank you. Thank you, Nellie.
That is dependent on if you are a tier 1. if you're a tier 1 cultivator, you'll see that your license says SCLT. If you change and go up a tier to 2 or more, then you'll have a new license number that will just be CLT. So that S will be off of it. And the number will be different, as it will have to go in order so that there's not 2 of the same license number. So if you change from a tier 1 then to a higher tier, then yes, you will have a new license number. And if you change down to a tier 1, same thing but opposite. You'll go from a CLT to a SCLT.
Yes, can you hear me all right? Okay, perfect. So I'm a tier 1 outdoor grower with an expiry date in October. And if I wanted to become a tier 2, do I have to meet the requirements such as increased security with fencing by the date of renewal, or can that be pending just because financially I won't have the needed capital until the end of this harvest, which kind of coincides with the renewal? So do I have to wait and do an early renewal once I can afford that, or how would that work?
So I can chime in here on one part of that question, Melissa. If you plan on changing tiers before this grow season, regardless of when your license was issued, you need to come into compliance with all of the requirements for that tier. And I'm going to leave it to Melissa to describe what that means as far as an amendment to your application.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where my thought process was going. If you are during your renewal changing to a different tier, then your renewal application will be reviewed as that new tier. So whatever requirements there are of that tier, you would need to meet before the renewal can be approved at that level. Does that answer the question? Did I miss something?
No, I was not very articulate, so you did answer it. So I would just, if I can't afford to upgrade my security before the end of my renewal, I would just renew as a tier 1 and then apply for a tier increase once I can satisfy the new requirements at a later date.
Correct.
You could do that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
That's the way it's done.
Thank you.
The renewal button will not be available until 90 days prior to your license expiration, unless you requested an early renewal. But if it was just something where you were trying to make sure you got everything in on time, I would say as long as you collect it together, and then once that renewal period opens, you can hit renewal and upload it all at the same time there. Is the renewal process currently outlined on the CCB website? I don't think specifically it is, but this will be up, and we went through a test, I guess, a test renewal that shows each of the steps. And you can always reach out to us if you have any further questions.
And just to piggyback off of what Melissa's saying, we want to avoid taking the renewal materials piecemeal. It really is better for processing, for our team to be able to expeditiously renew your license without searching around for different dated material submissions.
Right. Yeah, so gathering it all together on your end, and then as soon as the renewal button becomes available, just, going through and putting it all together at once is going to make the process a lot quicker, as it will make the review a lot quicker.
Nellie, if there's anyone who's joined us by phone, maybe now's the time to see if they want to chime in. Great.
I hope that means we did a great job of explaining everything.
That sounds good. I have no further nothing further to add. Giving everybody the opportunity to weigh in, and if there's no more questions, then we'll say goodnight. Thank you for joining us, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.